Hope everybody's doing well today. Today we are talking about making new connections without being spammy. Okay, so what do I mean by this? I had two clients in the same situation last week, meaning they were doing a lot of networking and engaging inside of other people's Facebook groups. And you and I both know that many of the admins of these Facebook groups get can get kind of strict, and they can really make it difficult for you to connect with people inside of their group and without deeming it spam. Or if somebody asks you a question and then you send them a DM, sometimes that can really make them admin, upset, and they view it as spam, primarily because so many people do it incorrectly, right? We've all been victim of that, where somebody immediately sees a comment of something you do, and next thing you know, your inbox is blowing up with their salesy, spammy pitch. So the question came up was, how do I actually make these new connections and engage with these people without coming across spammy and without breaking the rules of these Facebook groups? And so here is kind of my take on this in the way I have found it to be the most effective. So first things first, you've got to engage inside of these Facebook groups. You've got to engage, you've got to post value, you've got to give value, you've got to comment on other people's posts, you've got to share insight, and you've got to start the conversation, right? You don't want to just go inside a Facebook group and be one that take. You want to actually engage and give value and engage in conversation. Just like actual conversation, as if you were at like a coffee shop or you were having a conversation with somebody on the phone or in person. You need to not treat it so differently. People see it online and they treat conversations so differently. But anyways, once you've started and you're making conversation and you're engaging with people inside of these Facebook groups, if there is somebody that you are really resonating with and you're enjoying their content and you guys are having great conversation and you just think, God, she's so cool, I just want to connect with her, there is absolutely no harm in sending that person a friend request. There's only so much conversation that can happen inside of somebody else's Facebook group. And so your goal is to make that connection, to get the conversation offline. So in order to do that, send them a friend request, okay? If you've been engaging on their content, there's a good chance they're going to accept it, right? You're not just some stranger sending them a random friend request. You've been commenting. They've seen your name. So once they accept your friend request, now you can engage on their content because you're seeing content on their personal page. Perhaps they have their own Facebook group that you can join and you can engage there and you can continue the conversation. You can continue to build this relationship. And then when you feel like, wow, I really want to talk to this person further, there is no harm in sending a DM. The problem is 90% of people send a DM wrong. But if you send somebody a DM that you've been having great conversation with via commenting and just regular inside Facebook groups, and you send them a DM and say, hey, I absolutely love your content. I love the conversation we've been having. I would love to get to know you better. Are you open for a coffee chat, or would you be open to jumping on a virtual Zoom meeting or whatever? I would love to get to know you beyond a like or a comment. Why wouldn't somebody, especially if you've been engaging with them, why wouldn't they want to do that, right? So you need to just change your mindset here that you're creating conversation and you're continuing a friendship. Think about it as no different than any friendship, whether it's at, like when you were in an office. When you first walked into an office, you didn't just start spewing all about yourself to every single person that you could come across inside it, all the other employees, right? No, you started conversation. You got to know each other. Then you start having deeper conversation. The same thing holds true online. You can't treat it any differently. I want you to think about, would I say this to somebody if I were having coffee with them face to face? If you would not have that conversation with them while you were having coffee together, don't send it in a DM because it's going to be received the same way. But if you had a conversation with somebody, like say you were at a group all together, you were at a networking event in person, and you had a chance to meet somebody, and then after the fact you went up and said, wow, I absolutely love what you do. I'm really super intrigued. I would love to grab a cup of coffee with you sometime. Would you be interested? That same holds true online. So don't treat your DMs any different than you would if you were in person with somebody, okay? But your goal is to take the conversation offline. And obviously, we're all building our business online, but what I mean by that is take the conversation off the social platform that you've met them on. So get on the phone with them, have a video chat, learn more about them. That's how you make new connections, and don't go into it with any expectations solely aside from solely just wanting to meet somebody new and get to know them. This is not a sales call. This is not a time for you to pitch your services or anything. Guaranteed the conversation will come up to say, what do you do? How do you help? Tell me more about you. But it is not a place for you to say, I'm looking for 10 new clients today. Do you know anybody that could benefit from X, Y, or Z? Absolutely not. You get my point. That was a little excessive. But what I'm trying to say is just carry on a conversation the same way you would in person with somebody. Okay? Don't make this harder than it needs to be, because it really doesn't need to be that hard. Just let it flow naturally. So to round it up and recap, if there's somebody in a Facebook group that you're engaging with, I want you to send them a friend request, connect with them on Instagram, whatever it is. Start engaging on their content, provide value, start conversation, have genuine conversation with them on their content, and then reach out and just let them know that you would love to have a cup of coffee with them, the same as you would do in a networking situation. All right, get the conversation offline, and that is how you make connections without being spammy. Okay? So, I'll talk to you soon. That's all I got for you today. Tell me, share with me, where do you struggle making connections? What's the hardest part for you? Let's talk about it. We'll talk soon.